The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Greg is going to be... He may not join the call at all. I don't know. He'll randomly pop in if he does.
He's off somewhere.
Yeah, on a lark, some random trip. So I'm just going to record this the old-fashioned way.
He's missing the best show of the year, Overreaction Monday. So
I guess so. Would you guys qualify this as the best show of the year?
No, I mean
before it's even begun.
I just like poking fun at the idiocy.
We like jumping off random cliffs.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's all revise our Super Bowl predictions right now based off one week.
I feel like every post NFL Monday is like the overreaction day of that year to that point. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, yeah, the first week is probably more than ever. And I'll be honest with you, I've looked over some scores and some highlights. I have not seen the nitty gritty yet of like major injuries, if there have been any, and this kind of that's the stuff that's real fallout is when you have a guy blow his knee out or tear his ACL or something. But like, let's go ahead and review some NFL. Give me your thoughts, guys.
Before we do that, because okay. I don't want to lose this, I want to get this right at the top of the show.
Do it.
I want to touch on the NBA for one quick second. Because our favorite bag of laughing gas, that is the LA Clippers.
Let's see.
They were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets in their series. They were up 15 points in Game 5, lost Game 5. The Clippers were then up 15 points again in Game 6 and proceeded to lose Game 6, so now they are going to a 7th game against the Nuggets. The reason this is particularly funny, too, as well, because with the history of the LA Clippers, in games in which the Clippers franchise can advance to the Western Conference Final, they are 0-7.
Very colorful history there. Very sparkling record.
It's this thing of like, despite everything that the Clippers can do to themselves, no matter what happens, at the end of the day, they will still Clipper. And they can't even get to this much. Well, I guess it hasn't happened yet. But
I say the chance is still there.
The chance is still there, but the fact that like they're on the precipice of setting up this historic battle for LA for the Western Conference Final, their best shot at a title, all the players that they wanted to get, they're finally in line to be everything that they were supposed to be in years past. And they're still finding their way to Clipper it right up until the point of destiny.
The perfect the perfect result for Game 7 is a situation where they not only lose, but like Kawhi Leonard's leg explodes.
Yeah,
Jesus.
But it's. I know we're tempting fate by even bringing it up, but no, It's funny. It's just so damn funny.
Like,
me.
You know that the NBA is like dying to get LA in the finals or in the Western Conference Final, and I wouldn't be surprised if like Adam Silver has like a sniper set up to take Jokic out, like just if he's about to make like a key block and just like just goes down with like an ice bullet or something. And, yeah, it's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I don't know. I think presumably 7, 8 o'clock. There'll be Game 7, so that'll be.
That'll be an interesting one. Like, I mean, again, we could all look like idiots if they win that one, but like, again, the fact that this, quote unquote super team had a 3-game-to-1 advantage and couldn't close it out twice now is just too funny.
I give no shits about Heat Celtics.
No.
It's only interesting in that we never see huge upsets in the NBA, but you got the number 6 seed Heat beating the Bucks, and yes, Giannis got hurt, in that series, but still, that sort of stuff doesn't happen in the NBA. Yeah. So that's cool to see in that regard. But yeah, I don't think it matters who comes out of the East. I think both of those teams will end up losing to. Even God forbid if the Clippers make it, but
Giannis.
Honestly, I think all 3 teams remaining in the West could beat either the Celtics or the Heat. Like even the Nuggets, I think if they can somehow manage to get to the NBA Finals, would probably win it.
Well, I mean, isn't Giannis? I don't know how many years he's got left in his deal, but I thought the Clippers are like they're going to go.
Agent.
He's after this season.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so he will probably be a Los Angeles Clipper.
Los Angeles Clipper, Golden State Warrior. That's the other team that's been thrown around like they needed another superstar.
Man, that's just so not fun. Like there's this. Yeah. It's the typical NBA thing of like, oh, this guy's really good. Which West Coast franchise will he go to now? It's like fuck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's kind of why like the simple existence of the Heat being in the Eastern Conference Final is amazing in its own right, but it's like if it's Lakers, Clippers, and Celtics, that's 3 of the 4 teams you could have picked, back in October of last year that were going to be here then. But that's the way the basketball rolls. But I don't know.
That's the way the basketball bounces.
Now there will be a game in progress as we're recording this. The Giants are playing the Steelers.
I don't know what drugs people were smoking to think that would be a good Monday Night Football.
Well, it's a doubleheader or whatever. So the other game, which is I don't have it in front of me. Zach, you mentioned like 10 minutes ago. Titans Broncos, yes. That is game 2 of the. Do they do this every week for the first few seasons?
Every year, every week 1 they do the doubleheader because there's no Monday Night Football in week 17. They always do the doubleheader in week 1.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because they want everybody playing on that final Sunday, of the year.
Sure.
To eliminate any sort of tanking or like you tune into a Monday night game in week 17 and it's like, Jaguars and Cardinals and you're like, oh, all right, this is fun.
So what games did you guys watch yesterday, or did you do like the red zone like? This all-day football kind of thing?
I did Red Zone for the early games, and then I watched the Bucks Saints game. So
I see. Now the Bucks, you adopted the Bucks, right? Sorry, Zach. I can't remember. Did you adopt the Bucks, Mike? I can't remember.
I did adopt the Bucks
because of the Chargers,
and I wanted on record that I did it before Brady signed with them. So
I know Mike's a resident of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm a resident of Tampa Bay. I adopted the Bucks when Phillip Rivers left the Chargers. He was like the last thing on that Chargers team that I had any sort of connection to. And then when he was gone, it was like fuck this team and fuck Dean Spanos.
He's gone to Indianapolis to impregnate the entire Midwest with his incredibly potent. Apparently, 12 kids he got.
Packed them all in a van.
By the way, like seeing Phillip Rivers in a Colts uniform and Tom Brady in a Bucks uniform, it was just as surreal as I thought it would be.
It was weird. It was very weird seeing Brady in a Bucks uniform. But I mean, it's weird because the uniforms look really nice. Like the Bucks look like the Bucks again. But it's also like that's Tom Brady out there. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't so weird when he was like playing, but the thing that like finally flipped the switch of I don't like this at all is when he did the QB sneak and then he did his traditional like spike and yell thing.
Yeah,
it was like that's such an iconic like
Patriots thing.
That's an iconic sequence that you've seen that guy in that body with that pads and helmet do.
Yeah.
And to see it just in a different color scheme, it kind of sets you back like, oh wow, this is different. Because when he's just on the field, he's another quarterback in the system, and then when he does something that's so iconic to his whole career, it's like, oh well, yeah, there you go. That's
Meanwhile, Phillip Rivers did something iconic with his whole career too, which was having a chance to come through at the end of the game and not. So.
Yeah, well, while we're talking about the two of these guys, this brings me to my I can give you 2 overreaction Monday hot takes right out the gate.
Yeah.
Let's hear him.
Brady is cooked. Brady is officially done. The Buccaneers are going to be terrible, and because he's bad. And I don't think that everyone pegged the Jaguars as being the worst team in the league, this year.
I don't see why. I mean, honestly, based off last season, based off everything else, I didn't. I wouldn't have picked them to be like the worst.
No, I think Minshew he had one of the best, if not the best, Week 1 performances by a quarterback this week. I thought he did really well. He had a hell of a passer rating.
They have a real Island of Misfit Toys vibe to them, where they sold off whatever was left of that roster, and everyone thought that they were going to be garbage, and that's a perfectly rational thing to think, I think, at some point. But they come out and they put together a full team effort. But I think on the other side of that, the other part of that take is that the Colts are not going to be good. I think Phillip Rivers is equally cooked, and I think both of them probably should have just written off the sunset when they could.
I was going to say right here, I didn't see Tom Brady being cooked at all. The Bucs lost, but he didn't have a terrible game or anything.
Jesus. Gardner Minshew finished with 142 passer rating. He had 3 touchdown passes, 3 touchdowns, I guess. He only had 173 passing yards, but I mean, damn, that's a hell of a start.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he the legend, the ballad of Beowulf continues for Gardner Beowulf Minshew. Mm-hmm. And I think, Mike, yes, it's not totally Brady's fault, but he pulled the Jameis Winston, right? Threw a pick 6 for everybody to see. And I love Jameis Winston being on the other sideline in a backup role. There was a great screenshot that I don't know if you've seen that meme. It's like it's like a black kid and he has the soda in his hand and he's kind of giving you the side eye.
Yeah.
There was a screenshot of Winston on the sideline holding the clipboard and having the same eye angle towards the camera as that meme. It was pretty perfect. Just but in that game, I guess I didn't actually get to watch that one, but I guess during the game or in the first quarter, Aikman was trying to say I wouldn't be surprised if we see these two teams playing in the NFC title game together. It's I don't know about that one, Troy.
It's too early for that crap.
Yeah.
What did you think of Cam Newton in a Patriots uniform? He had a really nice week.
I think Cam Newton at a Patriots press conference is funnier.
Did you enjoy his banana yellow suit?
I see. Here's the thing. I don't know how okay. So first of all, Cam Newton looked great as in the game. He played really well. I'm not sure how this is working with Bill Belichick because I mean, I don't know if Bill Belichick is the guy who's as long as he performs and we win, he can wear whatever the fuck he wants, or if Bill Belichick is he needs to be in a black suit and clean cut at all times. I don't know what kind of guy Bill Belichick is in that regard. So,
but that's never been a problem with how Brady dresses. Brady doesn't go all yellow suit and top hat with there's padlocks on that hat on hanging off the side of the top of the hat. It's strange. But Brady, we made fun of Brady's fashion choices for a long time. Some of these weird trench coats and his tracksuits and whatever.
Giselle kind of used him as a model a lot of times for whatever was trendy or weird or new.
Right. And so I think the reaction that seems to be coming out of New England is that as long as Cam isn't a problem, he can dress however he wants. He can wear his hair however he wants. He can be whatever kind of goof he wants to be, even in touchdown celebrations as he wants. But if he goes out there and executes and he doesn't, get surly and doesn't, and just plays his role, then there's not going to be a problem with them. And it seemed to be the case, at least through week one. Like, he went out there, and that was a completely different Patriots offense than we're used to seeing, because as something that Belichick's gotten a lot of credit for this in the past, and I think a lot of us were just so used to them doing what they do with Brady that Belichick and his teams, and whether it's the offense or the defense, they work with what they have. That's what makes Belichick one of the greatest, maybe the greatest coach of all time, is that they take the team they have, the talent they have, and they work within their parameters of the talent and make the team successful for what they have. Like, yes, you can say that it was a system for Brady and them, but like, they never had these breakout wide receivers. They always had these, look at all the lacrosse players they drafted and be like, how the hell are they going to make an offense out of this? And then they would do it. Well, but then when you get a guy like Randy Moss, then you insert Randy Moss into the system and you let him do what he does best, and they succeeded that year.
Go ahead.
I think it's simply the fact that, Cam Newton is a different quarterback than Tom Brady, so you design a different offense. I know that sounds really simple and obvious, but so many coaches in the NFL have trouble grasping that concept. But Bill Belichick does a really good job. It's like, all right, well, I don't have Tom Brady. I have Cam Newton, so I'm going to design an offense to Cam Newton's strengths.
And that baffles me. How many head coaches in the NFL will essentially say, no, it's not the talent, it's the system, and my system is what makes this thing work. When if you were to say that to somebody like Mike McCarthy, for example, who says, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers that made this thing work, it was me, and then it's like, no, that's completely false. Belichick, I mean, besides being a unique just individual and having a lot of passion for history and things beyond football, and sort of a weird fetish for special teams and defense. He, like you said, just to reiterate, he takes the talent in front of him and says, okay, here's my options with this. Let's go out and execute this, and then we'll win. And it's never really anything more than that. It's not like, here comes the weird play.
It almost makes me think it's like, do you just have to be not stupid to be considered a great NFL coach? Like, it's like, I don't think like the way that I think of it, it's like Bill Belichick isn't doing anything particularly, smart. He's just being competent and going, I'm gonna tailor my offense around the strengths of the guy I have leading it. That seems so obvious, but yet he's seems to be only one of two guys in the league who can figure that out. So
I don't know if it's stupidity more than arrogance. Right?
Yeah, ego.
We're I'm the architect of this offense. I'm the controller, the master and commander of this ship, and you will do as I say, and it will work. But yeah, I mean, it's and based on what I saw out of the New York Football Jets and the Dolphins. It's going to be them and the Bills, kind of like we talked about last week when we did our quick preview. But I think they're still the favorites to win that division because they know how to work with it. Right,
and the Dolphins weren't complete ass, so that was nice. I mean,
well, that's and this is going to come up a lot probably this week and as we go in the season of just how having no preseason affects play and affects a lot of starters.
I mean, I didn't notice anything different, man. I gotta be honest.
It's all perspective.
The quality of football was pretty damn, fine.
Well, it's all a matter of perspective. So, when watching the Bears, who lost 98% of the game only to win the final two, thanks Detroit.
I was a dropped fucking.
It's ridiculous. But
I was going to say whenever we got to this that the only way that the Bears could be out-beared is by playing the Detroit Lions of all teams.
If I was a Lions, I mean, okay, so we'll come back to the Lions because I do want to bring up some other stuff, some other teams with them. But a lot of the things that I was noticing while watching that game was these guys are fucking tired. You could tell the conditioning. You can condition all you want, but as soon as you get out there on the field under those lights, even if there's no fans, your body just isn't ready for a little bit. And you could tell they kind of had to to get their breath back in order. Either that or just nobody gave a shit and was just tired and didn't want to fuck with it. But so that leads me to my next question. It's a shame that Greg is not here to participate in this because it affects his Cleveland Browns.
Oh no! No!
Who had a worse week one? The Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, or the Detroit Lions?
Browns. Okay, so
I don't know.
I'm gonna say Browns. It's clearly Browns because, so obviously the hype that everyone had last year about this is a Super Bowl contender turned out to be woefully incorrect. But still, even still, it's like, okay, maybe people got a bit too high on him for no good reason, but still, this is a team of talent. This is a team, that has some big players and some important roles. They shouldn't be this bad, and yet they are.
Man, it's so weird looking over this Browns roster here. I mean, Baltimore is obviously a very good team. But, I mean, look at these names: Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Austin Hooper, Kareem Hunt. I already said Kareem Hunt, but, there's some real talent here. And of all those names I mentioned, I think they had to total, 12 catches. And, they just got – from the first, 5 minutes of the game, it was over. And the Ravens never let up. I mean, it's and if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, this is supposed to be when you got your shit together. And
you got the new uniforms. They look good. They look like the Browns again, man.
And then it's just they come out. I mean, thank God there's no fans to watch this shit. For some of these games, if there were home fans in the field or in the stadium, you could have been a little worried about the reaction.
Just gonna share this with everyone because this is why I think that the Browns had the worst week because the NFL isn't dunking on anyone else. They're dunking on the Browns.
Well, I think because of who the Browns played, I don't think that unless the Browns played some sort of tight competitive game with the Ravens or beat them, I don't think there's any way that the Browns are coming out of this saying we feel good about what we're doing because I think Lamar Jackson is just such a freak, and I think the Ravens have to be pretty motivated themselves to be
Lamar Jackson had a pretty good passing game, by the way.
He was insane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I don't think the Browns had the worst week. I think the Bengals were pretty damn competitive. They should have beaten the Chargers, but somehow they managed to outcharger the Chargers.
It's that powder blue that does it. You see,
right?
Well,
but I got to go with the Lions because that's a game where you're up big and you blow it, but still, despite being up big and blowing it, you have the opportunity to fix that mistake and win. You have the winning touchdown in your hands in the end zone, and you drop it. I think that between the blowing the huge lead and blowing the opportunity to win it, I think that puts the Lions at a worse spot too because Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. I don't think that game's necessarily on him, but that's a team that needs to have some sort of infusion, and that could have been something that says, hey, maybe we're not as bad as we are in the past. We're going to change things around this year. And you're feeling really good about that for 2.5, 3 quarters, and then you manage to screw it all up.
Yeah,
so I gotta label that.
I mean, Jamie Collins headbutts an official, even though he was just trying to demonstrate something. So he's ejected in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
they had 6 cornerbacks injured that game, so they were down to their special teamers just playing straight up man coverage, and you lose to Mitch Trubisky. Just let that sink in. I mean, I have a Mitch Trubisky jersey hanging in my closet. I would love for him to be actually good, and if he plays the rest of the season, well, good for him. But he sucks. He is not good at football, and they scored 3 touchdowns in 7 minutes or something. They wiped their ass with him.
Footballer.
No, Detroit, yeah, definitely dumb. But the reason I said the Bengals is because of their embarrassing kicker situation here, and that's coming from a Bears fan. An embarrassing kicker situation. So Randy Bullock, he's out there he's going to kick this game tying. It was 31 yards. It was a chip shot. Field goal would have tied the game, gone overtime, and it would have been awesome. At least to get your rookie quarterback Joe Burrow into overtime in the spotlight, have him win a big game for you. But no, he kicks the ball with his right leg, and he misses. It's not even close. He grabs his he grabs his right calf, but then it comes out that he actually injured his left calf, and then it comes out later that he's not injured at all. And so
is that true? Oh no.
So apparently, I think it was one of those things where he knew he fucked up so bad, and then was like, "Oh, I'm going to be humiliated. I'm just going to grab my leg and limp around, and put on a little show here." And that to me
that's no good.
Yeah, I really hope that wasn't the case. I mean, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus here necessarily, but like that's embarrassing if true. If you just have one of those like cringe moments where you're like, oh shit, I missed. My leg. Sorry guys, injury, freak occurrence.
Yeah. See, like I didn't want to put it on the Bengals either because Joe Burrow actually looked really good.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
They can be happy with the play, like not the result, but the way that they played. I think that's like, hey, we're not going to be the worst team ever.
The only
right quarterback.
The only caveat I'm going to put to that is that the Bengals had a really competitive Week 1 last season, and everyone was saying maybe they lost, but they won't be as bad as we thought they'd be, and then we saw what happened. So
that's true, but again, like they had the game-winning touchdown that got called back on an OPI, which was running rampant across the NFL yesterday.
There were a lot of questionable pass interference calls like across the league. It was,
but like they were they had the opportunity to win it. They had the opportunity to tie it before their kicker fucked it up. But the Bengals as a team, I don't think I would say we're the worst. But if that kicker thing is true, then pox on his house because that's just ugh. So that's exactly what I meant by outcharging the Chargers. Because normally, if that was a normal Chargers team, like that would have been the Chargers guy. Yeah. Like, oh no, my right shoulder made me miss this kick.
No, that's a perfect Chargers move. I'm legitimately shocked that it wasn't.
So, who of the Week 1 winners would you say was the biggest fool's gold team that maybe? I mean, the Bears are a good example of a potential nomination for fool's gold.
I'm actually gonna say probably the Bears, honestly, because it is impressive that you can come back from that deficit, but as Zach said, even after the Lions blew that game, they still had a chance to win it, and the only reason they didn't was because their receiver dropped the ball in the end zone. If they were playing any other team, including the Chargers, the Bears would have been slaughtered. So it's, and the thing is about it, that I actually really like the Bears. I picked the Bears to win the division last season, and we saw how that went for me.
Damn it, Mike! Enough. Stop that. But it's sort of this thing where it was I guess because I was so high on them last year, and then what happened is that I became very cognizant of Mitch Trubisky's flaws and this team's flaws, and it's don't get it's the team is Khalil Mack and guys. That is the team. So I think that honestly, I can't see the Bears out of every team that won, the Bears are the ones that I can't see actually amounting to anything. Well, the Rams and Chargers, two other victors that won close games. Are either one of those teams potentially hey, it's more than just a win. It's this is possibly a special season.
Maybe the Chargers, but I really liked what I saw out of the Rams, particularly the offensive line play, which was the biggest problem last year, was the inability to get any offensive line push and protect the quarterback. But they did both those things last night against a pretty darn decent Cowboys front. So I'm not worried about the Rams. The Chargers maybe just because it's you shouldn't be playing a tight game against that Bengals team. My pick for Fool's Gold, I think, is the Washingtons.
The Washington football team.
Oh, by the way, this was hilarious. So, of course, the networks all did the right thing and just put the team name listed as Washington.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
But on NFL.com, no, wait, was it NFL.com or CBS? I can't remember. One of those two. they had all of the scores out, and they were listing them by team name rather than locale name.
Oops.
And
Did it
so
say football team?
It just said Eagles versus football team.
That's gorgeous. I love it.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't screenshot it, but yeah, it said Eagles versus football team.
That's pretty brilliant. Look, I think yes, people were all in love with the Washington defensive front, particularly after the game, because they had 8 sacks, and people think higher of the Eagles and Carson Wentz because of their past ability. But like, I don't. I think we're reaching a decision point on Carson Wentz, and I don't know if he's as good as everyone wants him to be.
No. Yeah, the sun is setting on the Eagles, I think, for a little while. They're
yeah.
I think that Wentz thing, it's so frustrating if you're an Eagles fan. I mean, you can't be too frustrated. You got a championship with Nick Foles under center, Chicago Bear Nick Foles, who will lead the Bears to another Super Bowl this year, if there's a God. But I mean, but then again, that whole situation, I can imagine the frustration where you have this kid who's obviously talented, but he just cannot stay healthy. And if this season you finally get 16 games out of him and he's just mediocre, how many more years do you bleed this out before you say, well, shit?
Right. Well, they drafted a kid to kind of back him up. Why can't I remember? But I think they're already thinking about that, because here's the deal too. If you're an Eagles fan, like
Jalen Hurts. Sorry, Jalen Hurts is that it?
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that if Wentz does falter, they can turn to him and be okay with it. And maybe that does fix the decision making here. But like, if you're like an Eagles fan and you're mad that they stuck with Carson Wentz, and you say, "Damn, we should have kept Nick Foles." Well, it's not like Nick Foles has done anything since he left you.
Nick Foles was ass in his brief stint with the Jaguars last season, so it's not
he wasn't
like
good and he got injured.
Wait a minute.
And then he went to Chicago, where most people would say like, "Oh, he's going to go in a quarterback battle with Mitch Trubisky." Oh, it should be Nick Foles' job.
Nick Foles,
and then it's not.
Nick Foles fucked his arm up throwing a touchdown. He threw an awesome touchdown pass as the Jags, and then immediately was injured. I think that was like his first pass as a Jaguar. I mean, that's a pretty good way to go out, Yeah.
Yeah, it's so like if Jalen Hurts turns out to be okay, I think they're fine. But like, the confidence that people have in this Eagles team, I don't see it, because yes, Carson Wentz had that really good rookie year, but since that injury, he's just not there. And so people, and I always get in this argument because he was drafted right behind Jared Goff, and some people aren't always as confident in Jared Goff as I am to a degree sometimes, and some of it's valid, and some of it I can defend to the death. But like,
it's okay.
But like, when he's the guy that I always have to deal with the comparisons with, and now that I see more of Carson Wentz, it's like, well, did the Rams really make the wrong choice? I don't know. It's maybe they're both not great, but like, it's not this runaway that it was for the first year or two of both of their careers.
I think that the Washingtons are a good choice for Fool's Gold. I think that I think that one of the reasons why people are maybe a bit too high on them right now is honestly it's the name. The Washington football team Washingtons.
People just like saying it.
No. It's not even that. It's like, but like, if you actually think about like the history of the NFL, this is a historic team. Like, they've been around as long as like the Bears and the Packers and like all.
As the end zone will say all year, established 1932.
Exactly, but see, like, this is a team that's been around for a hot minute, and they are a legacy team. And I think that for the longest time, people have actually kind of wanted to like them, but they can't because the name was racist as shit. And now that like the name isn't racist, and they actually had like a pretty decent week 1 showing, it's like, oh well, classic team, cool colors, and they don't have the racist name anymore. So yeah, go Washingtons. Like that. I think honestly that's all it is. It's people are happy that they can like this team.
I would go that far.
And not feel like douchebags.
I think there's some meme factor involved for sure. I think that there probably also is a factor of either returning fans or new fans who are like, thank God I've always loved the colors, but I hated the name, so here I am. I
can wear a hat now. I can wear a hat for my favorite team now and not have people, think I'm in the Klan or something.
It's going to be so weird when they switch. I'm assuming they'll go with whatever new brand, and there's going to be a very vocal contingent of fans who are going to be like, you know what? I grew up a Washington football team fan that one season. That's when I became.
For that 1 year,
right? Well, it's like that's when I became a fan, and that's what I always thought they would be.
Here's the thing with that, though. I thought I saw a report over the last week that at least this is from maybe the lips of Dan Snyder. Who knows? That there's a possibility that they may just stick with it if it's like successful enough. Which
that'd be
I can't see the NFL.
It'd be really weird, but
I can't see the NFL letting them do that. Like eventually, given how image conscious and merchandise happy they are, I can't see them like agreeing to that long term. Like eventually,
but there's the thing. There's so many people that have gone out and bought Washington football team merch for the LOLs of it. Mm-hmm. But it's also like they are a historic team, and they're like. It's like we talked about when it happened that like there's so many soccer teams around the globe that are city name football club or whatever you want to call it, but that could work in this instance because they'll never be able to get over their history. I think like people will still always know that. What their team name used to be and why they are the football team or why they become the Hawks or whatever they end up being, the Red Wolves.
Really like Red Wolves, not going to lie.
Yeah, it's not bad. But I think football team could work long term. But,
I think another reason that might be leading to people buying a bunch of Washington football team merch is because they are under the impression it's like people are like, no, this is going to be like a 1 year, 2 year max thing, like, and then once they get a new name, they'll be that forever. So then like this 1 to 2 year window of Washington football team merch will be like rare in the future. I think that's sort of like it's going to be like in 20 years, like Washington football team merch will be like this rare novelty.
They'll follow the money. So, I mean, and I see what you're saying about it being like a Beanie Baby or something to where there's like a weird niche market for like the forgotten Washington football team merchandise or whatever. But if I just don't see there being enough draw or marketability to being so bland. And yes, as Zach said, the soccer / football of the world has so many teams with this kind of branding, but like this is so alien to like just a game of football. I don't think are there any, whether it's in the arena or Canadian Football League or college, where they just have that kind of name. Like
the closest I can think of is in the Canadian Football League, the Ottawa Red Blacks, where like
the Red Black isn't even a name. Like it's just kind of a fan name kind of a thing.
No. It's officially the name, but
okay.
In all capital letters, mind you.
Yeah. They insist that if you're a journalist writing about them, that you have to spell the name out in all caps. But so the story for the Red Blacks is that the original Ottawa CFL team was the Rough Riders, with Rough Riders being two separate words. And then there was the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, which is, Rough Riders is one word. When the Ottawa Rough Riders folded, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders locked down all variations of the Rough Riders name. And then so when Ottawa got a team back, they couldn't be the Rough Riders, but like the owner really wanted it, but he couldn't have it. So he went with he insisted on Red Blacks as just like the most generic name he could think of. It's just like the team name is Ottawa, their colors are red, black, and white, and their name is just their colors. So it's as close as you can get to just like Ottawa CFL team.
But I mean, again, that has a cool kind of like, what year did that take place?
This was, I want to say 2014, 2013, 2014.
Oh, so it's pretty damn recent then. I was thinking this happened more in like the 80s or 90s or something.
No. This was very recent.
Didn't the Baltimore CFL team just be the Baltimore CFL for like a minute?
Yeah, yeah.
The Stallions thing.
Yeah, so that story is that when the CFL expanded into the States, they had a team in Baltimore. This was before the Ravens had showed up.
Okay.
And so they wanted to call themselves the Baltimore Colts. And they called them, and they were officially the Baltimore Colts for like 5 minutes. And then the NFL was like, no.
Hi, here's our attorney.
Yeah, exactly. And then so they were officially the Baltimore CFLs for, as Zach said, like a hot minute before they just became the Stallions.
But I mean, either way, there's no proven record of like the football fan in general saying, "Cool, I'll go with this thing." But I mean, plus Washington really had no branding for this anyway. They just kind of put out a W, which isn't even a great looking W. I think some people like it.
It's kind of a wonky looking W.
It's just cheap looking. It's just kind of like we picked a font. Dan Snyder liked this font, so here we go. It's W with some motion serifs on it. Fun. But my thought was that they made it intentionally boring, as intentionally boring as possible, so that way, by comparison, whatever branding they come up with next will look like a breath of fresh air, depending on how horribly they mess that up. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how the NFL, how the fans. I know one Washington fan, and he hates the name change. But if they win,
they can get over it.
Yeah, but I mean, but if they win, though, I wonder if he would be like, hey, they win, go football team. That could really change the direction of this whole thing.
Yeah. Speaking of teams and branding, we do this every time that there's a relocation, but like the LV in the ticker was the weirdest thing to accept over the weekend.
I didn't have a chance to see those highlights, but I did hear broadcasters mess up when during pregame. They were constantly saying the Oakland Raiders, and it's like, no, I got to get used to saying Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's going to take us all a little while. I'm so used to them being L.A. or Oakland, and now it's Las Vegas.
So what's funny is that my dad was still under the impression that they were the L.A. Raiders.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because he actually he listens to the podcast. So hi, Dad. But we were talking about the Raiders moved to Las Vegas. Whenever that first got confirmed. And my dad was like, he's like, oh yeah, I was listening about like the Raiders to Las Vegas. Like that, they're in Los Angeles, right? I'm like, no, they are in Oakland. He's like, no, they were in Oakland, but now they're in. I'm like, they moved back to Oakland. He's like, when did that happen? I'm like, 1995 or something. He's like, really?
Well, did he like acknowledge the St. Louis time for the Rams?
Oh, no. He was fully aware of the Rams being in St. Louis, and even though he is not from L.A. and he is not a St. Louis and he is not a Rams fan, the news that they were going back to L.A. made him incredibly happy. He was basically like, well, that wrong's been righted. So my dad was fully on board with. So my dad knew about the Rams in St. Louis, and he didn't like it. But yeah, he was completely unaware that the Raiders had moved back to Oakland in the mid-90s. And the thing is that he is a football fan. Like he does watch. So he's been apparently watching for years, over a decade of watching, over 2 decades of watching NFL football, just blissfully unaware that the Raiders were back in Oakland.
Is somebody backing a truck up or microwaving?
Sorry, no, that was my washing machine.
Oh, I was like, either something's being microwaved, or somebody's podcasting from like outside, and there's like a truck backing up. But I would not have guessed washing machine. So well done with that random beeping.
I get plenty on my side when like I use a fact that my girlfriend sent me. She's like, you didn't give me credit again. I'm like, sorry. Thanks for being my research department.
I wanted to start this part of the show off with before I forget, because I keep forgetting to get your guys' intake on it. Sorry, my dogs are battling here in the background. So Skip Bayless, who is no stranger to controversy or the show, and I'm assuming you both heard what he said.
Yeah.
Just to recap for people who aren't aware, Skip Bayless on his show essentially said that Dak Prescott is an idiot for not just getting over his brother's death, or didn't his brother commit suicide?
Yeah.
So Dak Prescott is going through a lot of really trying emotional things, and he's trying to put a positive foot forward on his dealing with the depression and the loss. And Skip Bayless is saying, in order to lead America's team, you need to not be a big pussy. And if you are depressed,
just fucking football, Skip.
Yeah, I wanted to know, do you guys feel like that came from a genuine place, or do you feel like this was just like, you know what, this is a great moment for a hot take, I'm going to run with it?
I think it's great. Okay, so I'm not sure how much you guys know about the rise of Skip Bayless, but you guys know what his big break was in the world of sports journalism?
Right. It was a gay rumor about Aikman, right?
Yeah, he started spreading rumors that Aikman was gay. And so I think that this guy is just like, I'm just going to stir up shit about, whoever the Cowboys quarterback is, and that's going to be my ticket to views, clicks, water cooler talk, whatever. So,
and it sucks that it works. It really sucks that it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, my view is that I don't think it came from a legitimate place either, but there's certain things you can't do that with, man. Especially in today's day and age, and especially because I believe the day he did that was National Mental Health Awareness Day.
Yeah.
So it was you're picking the perfect storm to do this. You guys still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I heard a weird sound, but part of me thinks that it's just a giant coincidence that he chose to make this asinine take on Mental Health Awareness Day, but there's also the part of me that's cynical about it. It's he's doing this with purpose, but again, at the same time, you can't be saying shit like that, especially with how much mental health awareness has been, kind of improved upon, in the last several years, and especially right now when people's mental health is at an all-time point of tenuousness in our time of quarantines and whatever else is going on in the world.
It's a very delicate period, and it's hard. But that's to me, like you said, it felt very much like a, I don't know, I want to say a Trump hot take, since I don't think he's smart enough for that. It's more of just it's provocative and insulting enough to where, you're not just playing the hot take card to rile up some clicks. I do believe that ultimately his achievement, which he did accomplish, was to get people angry and get a reaction and get people tuning in and cause a lot of controversy. And that's free discussion, free ratings, free all that stuff, free advertising revenue. But at the same token, I feel like there is a part of him that maybe it's an old world thing. It's hard to say. I don't know enough about him as a person, but to where mental health, some people do find that it should be private and that it shouldn't be publicized, and that it should remain something that, this is a man's game. And if you are a real man, especially a quarterback, you don't come out there and reveal your weakness. Because that was his argument, was saying that by putting yourself out there for having issues, emotional issues, anxiety, depression, that kind of stuff, you're giving your opponents ammunition to defeat you. And while, there's probably some sort of argument to be made for that, it's so blind to our current society, and it's ignorant to the point of I'm assuming there's some sort of PR discussion to be had from somewhere up above Fox where they're like, could you just slow down on that shit for a few months, because this is not the time.
And here's the interesting business part of it. Skip Bayless's contract is actually up at the end of the month.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Fox could very easily walk away from him
The cynical part of me says that he did that to boost his profile.
That's
get
fucked.
a better deal.
If that's true, man, that's so sad. I mean, yeah, he would maybe lose jobs because of that, but I mean, like, if that is true, I mean, I'm not doubting the truth about his contract, but if he used that opportunity to say, I'm going out with a bang here, and I'm going to get my names in the headlines so I can get another job really quickly, because somebody is going to want to snatch that up. Just because it'll bring eyeballs to their network or whatever.
Just go. He just needs to complete the fucking circle and go to Barstool. Like, come on.
I mean,
here's the thing too with him is, like, we always say, like, oh, he does these hot takes for views, but, like, since he's been at Fox, has that actually worked? I guess is my question. Like, I don't know. I don't think any of us actually know, but, like, despite First Take, not being the same as it was at the height of the Skip and Stephen A. heyday, I still see First Take stuff around. Like, that stuff still makes some sort of penetration into the talking points.
Stephen A. is still Stephen A., and he's kind of an idiot. But, like,
I don't think he'd do this. I don't think he'd say something like this.
No.
He wouldn't do this. And I got to be honest, First Take since Bayless left has been better.
Well, it's been more rational to a degree.
Yeah, it's been like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still two guys yelling at each other. But it's at least you don't see, like, the really stupid shit.
Right, and I think it's clear with his time at Fox that Bayless was the instigator of that stuff, because he just does say
and now it's
crap.
They just found another black guy for him to yell at.
Yeah, they just got Shannon Sharp, who will also engage in his own particular brand of goofery.
I mean, I give Sharp credit for how he handled that exchange. I mean, it was clear you could kind of tell by his facial expressions that he was like, I vehemently don't agree with you. I'm going to have to awkwardly respond and try not to say what I want to say to you, because it's really because I mean, he took it so far to the unexpected road to where essentially it's a softball category where you score easy points by saying, like, I really sympathize for him and my heart's broken for him. His family must be going through. There's all sorts of generic things that you could say to essentially put yourself on the moral side of the issue. But instead, and I think that's what Shannon was expecting, and probably the whole production crew, but instead Skip is like, depression is for losers and wimps, and the Cowboys need someone who is neither of those things to lead the team.
The Cowboys need a man.
Yeah, I don't. And the Cowboys thing, I mean, that's something I'm just going to have to live with my entire life. I just do not understand. I get the Cowboys, they're Big D, America's team, and all this stuff. They keep getting primetime games all the time. Every season, they get tons of primetime games, and I mean, just every year, they're just like 8-8. They're just like a whatever team. I don't know. I don't understand why why the eyeballs are still there after 20 years since, like, they were, like, really, like, Super Bowl relevant. Anyway, sorry, that's an aside.
It's branding, right? Like, they labeled themselves then as America's team, and they will continue to get the eyes as if they're America's team, because they get the people, the media coverage is still there. It's its own self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, yes, if we stop showing the Cowboys in these national games all the time, their profile would probably drop. But if they stop showing the Cowboys in all these national games, then the ratings would drop. So it's kind of like, what part are you feeding here? The tail wagging the dog.
But the Cowboys get, like, there's so many people who are Cowboys fans and proudly wear their Cowboys stuff. Like, they're a very national brand. But they're not. Sure. They get worn and they get, like, advertised as this, like, symbol of success. Like the Yankees. A lot of people do the same thing with the Yankees, where, if you're a Yankees fan, you're probably a Cowboys fan too. And I can understand for, like, a few years in the 90s, because you had some. I don't know if you had much crossover, but you had essentially a lot of Cowboys success followed by a lot of renewed Yankee success. And yes, the Cowboys have kind of been in and out of the playoff mix for years now, but they constantly, and maybe it's just the star. There's something about the star that just really draws people in, or the personalities. But I don't know.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It's all lost on me, I suppose. But
I don't get it either. But something when it came up around the America's team of it all, I did see a very dumb Facebook post.
Do share
today.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't want to. I'm not going to share like the entirety of it because it's not important. But what the point of it was is to say that they were proud. You can't be America's team if you have players kneeling on the field, and they were super proud that the Cowboys didn't have anyone kneel. One Cowboy did kneel. But what did you guys think of the weekend? And I guess going all the way back to Thursday, because that's kind of where I would drag this discussion to begin with. But the nature of the anthem protests and how things were kind of handled by the NFL players.
Kansas City, really well done, Kansas City. Just asinine. I mean, what they had like 9,000 people there or something, and you could see a look.
I think it was 12,000. Yeah,
and you had the look on what's their quarterback? His name escapes me. It's killing me right now. MVP Mahomes. So there's look on Mahomes' face, or he's looking around like, "Are you serious?" Like, and they're booing the unity of the two teams, and it's like how I can't. I'm speechless. It's so frustrating. Yeah. It was frustrating to watch it, and it made me glad that there's going to be barely no fans for it.
It just shows that none of this was ever about the anthem.
Nope. Not a damn bit of it. It was never about
the anthem.
And it sucks.
You know.
It really sucks.
Because, like, yes, the Texans stayed inside for the Black national anthem and the U.S. national anthem. The Chiefs were all out there. They were standing for the Black national anthem, and a couple kneeled during the I think it was only like 3 guys kneeled during the U.S. national anthem, but otherwise they had their arms linked. And there was nothing, as far as I heard, there were no boos or anything going on there. It wasn't until all that was done, and then the Texans come out on the field, and they all link arms for a moment of unity, and the thing up on the scoreboard says, like, we're all in this together, you know, we're all fighting racism. And then that's when the 12,000 people that fought their way through all the COVID protocols to have to get to this game decided to show their true colors and boo this pretty, you know, simple thing. Like, this wasn't like a huge protest. They weren't like throwing up middle fingers to the crowd. They were like as underscored or you know, as I'm trying to think of what to say there, but like in terms of like they weren't like blasting on the speakers. It was very low key.
Yeah, it's an understated, I think, is what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's like it's not even. I wouldn't even compare it to anything that the NBA has done. It's closer to maybe what the NHL has done in terms of like blanket. Like they even have end racism in the end zones, which is what, you know, the NHL did on the scoreboards. It's like it's as simple and probably inoffensive as you can get with this nature of protest, and you still booed. I didn't hear of any stories anywhere else over the weekend. I guess the only place it could happen was Jacksonville, but
the disappointment.
It was such a bad look. Incredibly bad look.
To say it's a bad look I find even that to be an understatement. I feel that it is essentially definition via expression, and you have a fan base who is on the surface racist, and who is on the surface ignorant, and on the surface completely apathetic to the plight of anyone who is of any color that is not Caucasian. And that is really, really disappointing. Like you said, Zach, it's not like they put something on the uniforms. It's not like they took the helmets off the logos to put something. There was, people had things on the back of the helmets. People had undershirts and, like you said, things on the field. There were a lot of gestures, but there wasn't an overt thing that was just like, you're slowing down my game, or you're delaying me from getting my football, or whatever. It's just like, you can wait 5 minutes. It's essentially no more than an extended moment of silence just to recognize this short thing, and then we'll start the fucking game. And no, it is something to where at least the fans of Kansas City, in one really embarrassing moment, really showed just what NFL fans are. And obviously that is not reflective of all NFL fans, but the fans that would be season ticket holders who would pay out the ass to come to a game with restricted attendance says a lot about them. And if I'm a Kansas City resident who's a Chiefs fan, got to really wonder just what the hell. Got a soul search, really bad look, really bad, really disappointing all around. Mike,
any thoughts, Mike?
I mean, honestly, nothing that you guys haven't said. It was kind of disgusting. It's kind of disgusting, and then kind of as an NFL fan myself, you kind of just have to think like, is this really like, God, this is it, huh?
Well, the thing that it reminded me of, and this is obviously comparing to two events that are completely different and had completely different political ramifications and social and cultural impact. It reminded me of after the Sandy Hook shooting, where you had a lot of people who couldn't fathom the idea of some maniac killing a bunch of children, saying that it was staged and a hoax and crisis actors and all this stuff. And it was that kind of, it wasn't to that level of disappointment, but it was kind of knocking on the door where, while yes, you are looking at some of the most elite athletes and well-paid athletes in the world. A lot of them are black men who have, ridden their athletic and their prowess and their God-given ability to get to this level, to use that platform to make a statement that is very brief and simple. And you're like, no, fuck you, boo, get out there and play my football and get your goddamn politics out of my football. Like, I will not listen. I will not heed your issues. I will not care. If anything, this is making me more stubborn to where I refuse to acknowledge anything but the results you do on the field, because you are just my entertainment. You are just my fantasy guy. You're just a means to an end for me. And once you get hurt, you're disposable.
The thing that makes it almost more disgusting when I think about it a little bit more too, and I hadn't even given this any thought in the moment, but like, you boo these guys for simply saying like, hey, help racial relations in this country. Let's do something nice. And then, these are the same people that you would think that if they're going to boost something like that, they would be the same type of folk that would boycott the NFL, so to speak.
Right.
That, because they kneeled, they're never going to get one of my dollars ever again. Except that you're already in the stadium, and less than 10 minutes later, you're going nuts for Patrick Mahomes throwing deep down the field and doing all the stuff. So it's like, okay, really, like you don't care about the people at all. You just care that the Kansas City Chiefs will win football games. And even more so, like, your views of hating this politics coming into your sport doesn't dampen your excitement for the sport or your love for your team or whatever you want to call it. So it's like, who are you people? Like, what is your point in being there and booing that and then cheering them minutes later? What are your values on all this? No, like, I just don't.
Zach,
I can't like level that stuff in my head.
Well, Zach, you're asking a very empathetic and very a question that's attempting to be objective and really, and that empathy is weakness. Like, I feel like it's not even an intelligence thing so much as it is people just do not care, and they're so narcissistic and selfish on certain levels to where it's like they are blind and will always be blind to anything else, to where, I didn't come here, I didn't pay to have your left-wing bullshit put on me. And it's like, well, wait, dude, you're not listening. It's not a left-wing thing. It's a societal thing. I don't care. I came to see people hit one another and throw a ball, and that's what I want you to do. So don't make me think. Don't make me feel guilty. Don't make me do anything but just have my two little cells in my mind just work over and over the little happy chemicals by having two guys hit each other.
Do you expect anything else from people who, would go through all the COVID protocols just to watch a football game in person? I mean, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves, like,
it is a slim selection when we're talking about the Venn diagram of these things.
Yeah.
It's probably a perfect circle. So I guess that makes sense. I just like it's a hypothetical and we never know, but I do wonder that if if we weren't in the time that we are when it comes to fans not being there and the COVID protocols and all that stuff, would we have seen a similar scene in other stadiums with fans?
That's so difficult to say.
You would think that maybe Jacksonville would be another place that something like that could happen, but I don't remember hearing or seeing anything come out of there. Maybe, and I don't know what they might have done pregame that might have been the same or different. I don't know anything went on there, but like it is tough because it's hypothetical to kind of throw that on anybody blindly. But I do have to wonder, like, if it was a full stadium of normal fans and they were doing this, would there be boos for that?
Yes, I would say yes. I would say yes. I'd say most stadiums it'd be boos. I don't know how loud. Like some places, you know, it'd be probably mixed reaction if you had a full arena or mostly full stadium. But I mean, you know, but again, the demographic of people who are going to be attending an NFL football game probably all come from similar demographics to people who give no shits about any of this. And at best, it would be mixed. And I mean, that makes sense. It's a very split issue that has unfortunately become very, very political, and I guess will always be political. But I think because of the lack of a crowd, or in the lack of multiple cities to be, you know, compared to one another, say like, well, you know, we got a fairly mixed reaction in Chicago or Detroit, and we got a positive reaction in Green Bay or whatever. Like what we have instead is like, okay, here's this very small group of fans. They're not going to be able to do anything too bad, right? They're not going to be able to do it because right. Because it was such a small, very dedicated group of people to come out there and just shit on the moment to the point to where they turn the crowd audio down. On like 12,000 people, you know, like it's fast. And we can move on. I know it's just absolutely, like, I can tell that, like, I mean, we're all affected, but Mike, I can hear your like disappointment and to hear like this frustration.
There's no other way to. You just have to fucking laugh at it almost, because what does? I mean, I don't know. I want to say the part of me that, you know, wants to hold out hope that, you know, the world isn't shit, wants me to say, you know, wants to believe that, you know, if we had full stadiums, if we had full crowds, like, yeah, maybe like the 9,000 idiots would boo, but they'd get drowned out. Like that's what I want to believe. But at the same time, it's like, can I say that with any certainty that would most definitely be the case? I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. And again, it's just disappointing because it's like, I like football. I like NFL football. Is this who I'm sharing space with? And I guess on some level, it's always
like
known.
that. Yeah,
it's
like such a large.
But to like just but you just see it happen, man. And again, I don't know. I guess I'm repeating, but fuck it. It's like, it's not even like the message was all that controversial. It was just like, hey, let's help, you know, race relations, and let's help end racism.
And really,
that seems like a thing that most people would be able to get behind, but no.
That's my thing too. It's not like, because like the NBA very explicitly with the Black Lives Matter on the court said that, and MLB players kind of the same thing. This is literally, that's why I say, like, we saw what the NHL did, and we kind of criticized that for being watered down and milquetoast, and that's exactly what it is. And if there's a fan base that might be a step above, you know, the NHL is way down in sort of its demographic, and the NFL you would think would encompass more people, but is also not that far away from the NHL in terms of demographics. And so, right, the message itself was not outlandish. It wasn't that strong. It wasn't like this big referendum that, like, no, we are paying attention to this now. It's above kind of the minimum, which I guess is they're giving the FaceTime to it, which is fine.
It's above the minimum is a great description. It's essentially a bit more specific than saying everybody be nice. Like if they had just said everybody be nice, But that would have been too far from what they did. And the NFL, I mean, to their credit, they did, tweet out Black Lives Matter. The players, I think, like some Bears had, like Breonna Taylor, and they had a bunch of different things and expressions and names you could put on your helmet to like.
Yeah, I do like the messages on the helmet bumpers on the back.
Right.
Those have been good to see, but again, very small.
And again, but like you said, but that smallness, and essentially the fans who were there just basically said, like, even that's as small as it is, I hate your platform. Stop it. Yeah. Stop your platform. I don't care about you. I just want your talent. I want this. I want the entertainment. Stop it. And it sucks.
I do. This is something that I do wish that there were fans in the stands for, because then maybe it could have been a bigger thing. But it is all kind of. It's all very low level. Like the thing that painted out as clear as day to me is when they did what the NHL did, where they have the end racism in the end zone. It's like, well, end racism? Well, guess what, guys? We did it.
Well done, everyone.
You painted it. No more racism. That's it. That's good job, everybody. We solved it.
They got to be,
and it's not really speaking to anything. It's like, yeah, of course, any rational person would say end racism. Yeah, that's good. But you're not really putting the effort there. And that's kind of what we saw too with things that like the Milwaukee Bucks said. And if you watch the episode of Hard Knocks a couple weeks ago when they were, in the locker rooms with the Rams and Chargers when they were going through this stuff, it's all about the action. Like the NFL can paint whatever they want on the field, but the NFL has to put its money where its mouth is, and the players do, and some are. So I guess you just got to hope for that. And the messages are going to be what they are. They're going to be pre-approved and available to be able to appeal to as wide a base as possible, and hope that you can overcome, or basically what we saw on Thursday, where yes, you're going to have people that are going to boo, but they're still going to pay the money. They're going to do everything they can that goes taking your product and cheer for the actual colors of the team, instead of the color of people's skin. Anyway. What else happened?
I say, well, I mean, there's more to discuss that we can probably get into next week as far as like fake fans and crowd noise that was canned and piped in, and I don't know. I feel like we're at a pretty good stopping point, because I feel like anything we talk about after this is just going to be like I feel like a lot of this, just for me personally, it sucks. Like it really sucks, and I do want to get Greg's input on this too whenever he comes back around. But did you guys have any more positive? Let's do what we did before. Let's try to have a positive ending to the show, just to salvage something, some smiles here. You guys want to give me one positive thing to end the show?
Sure. I mean, as much as we kind of delve through it, it's having a full NFL Sunday felt so incredibly normal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of amazing how normal it felt to, even I wasn't even like at my couch all day. I was out doing some other stuff, but like following the scores on my phone, sitting down to watch Sunday Night Football, watching the game on the game on Thursday was a little weird because it's like the first foray into it, and it was just the one thing, and there was so much else to it. But a full NFL Sunday was good, and it's actually what I pitched my editors to be able to write a column this week instead of actual sports news, because there isn't any for me, when it comes to a local thing. But like last Thursday, we had the very first day in sports history where the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, MLS, WNBA, and I think there was maybe some college football on. We're all playing at the same time on the same day, and it was just like as full of sports days you could possibly ever have. And now we get to a day like today where it's like, yeah, we have the NFL. We have conference finals in the NBA and the NHL. We have the stretch run going on in baseball. Soccer is being played in MLS, and it's starting up again all over the world. The Premier League had its first weekend this last weekend. It's all – the sports world is so incredibly normal right now, and it just feels good. I wish I could be there, of course, but like just having every sports option available is just it feels good to be able to interact with the things that we enjoy to talk about on a normal level.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well done.
Positive. Kind of hidden, I guess, close to where we all live. The Browns and Bucks might have lost, but god damn it, did they look good doing it. Beautiful uniforms.
No love for the bone, Mike?
Oh, God. You know what? Those looked as bad as I thought they would.
I didn't think they didn't look as bad as I thought they could have, but it's still not.
That white on that, I don't know who. First of all, I don't know who thought bone was a good idea. Second of all, I don't know who thought, let's not only have off-white, let's put white stripes on the off-white next to yellow.
I'm sorry, I budged into your positivity with my negative.
Yeah, no. Get this man.
Please say something nice.
Get this bone bullshit out here. No, no. The Bucks and the Browns looked really, really good. In fact, I remember, like I said, I watched the early game. I didn't watch any of the early games. I red zoned the early slate. And when I first saw a highlight from the Browns-Ravens game, like for a moment I thought, oh man, this looks like something from 10 years ago, and I meant that in a good way. The Browns looked really sharp, at least aesthetically. They played like ass, but the uniforms were really nice matchup. And then watching the Bucks, it's like oh hot damn, like this is such a no-brainer for the Bucks. Why did they spend 5 years wearing alarm clock numbers? So, really happy to see just two good NFL looks back. I think it proves to like everyone who's like, oh well, I don't like going backwards. It's like, no, sometimes if you have a really good look, you go back to it and it just looks great. So. Well done, Browns. Well done, Bucks. You guys look like you should again. And the Chargers looked pretty swank too, with the powder blue and the gold pants. So some as disappointing as aspects of week one in the NFL were, as disappointing as those fans were, at the very least I could say, you know what? Aesthetically, we got some pretty good looking games, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well said. It's a good call. I mean, there's a lot of positive aesthetics, uniform aesthetics in the NFL. Overall, it's a pretty good time, and we can we'll go over that in detail maybe next week. But my positive kind of echoes with what Zach said a little bit. My positive is that the temperature has started to dip just a little bit. There's a little bit of a chill in the air. The first week of fall, I think, is officially 2 weeks away, maybe something like that. They're the first day of fall, maybe the 20th, 22nd, something like that. But we're on the verge of it technically being fall, and it is also just starting to feel a little bit like fall. It's the best time of the year when you have, obviously, the NFL. It's in the mixed bag as far as college football goes, but just the overall chill coming into the year is one of my favorite things, and I really, really am looking forward to summer coming to an end and having this awesome fall season to enjoy and football along with it. So
I'm looking forward to waking up on a nice chilly Sunday and just sitting down watching some football. That'll be nice.
Damn right. Yep. Fucking A.
Yeah, I can't wait for the weather to come around because, the West Coast is still on fire. So
I heard, by the way, that they were getting the fires under control, and then a gender reveal party happened.
God.
Well, the gender reveal party started one of the fires down here in Southern California. Yeah,
it's like several fires.
Guys, you don't need a full 4th of July fireworks show.
Can I just say, when I heard that as a member of the LGBT community, I just want to – God damn it, straight people, why? Why?
For the gram.
It's one of the dumbest things that's come out of the last 10 years of white suburban culture, the gender reveal party.
Oh, well.
On that note, you can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to basicallysports.tumblr.com. You can go to YouTube. We're on Stitcher, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Spotify now, and wherever, as Greg would say, fine podcasts are sold.
I assume we'll be back live next week. So
next week, next week we should be back.
When Greg returns from the abyss that he's currently transversing, so
yeah, Greg is currently just in some sort of darkness of space, just walking on a spirit journey, trying to find something about trying to regain himself after the Cleveland Browns loss, I think.
He's following Brownie the Elf on a spirit journey. That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, on that note, we will sign off. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Laters.
Later.